how our non-verbal communication reveals what we're really feeling, it's often misinterpreted. And the number one reason for this, well, there are a lot of reasons for it, but the number one reason for this is that we filter information based on our own experiences, our own beliefs, our own hopes and dreams, and our own background. And sometimes it's just a case of we see what we want to see. We filter information through our reticular activating system. Basically, we have so much information coming at us, right? The world is full of stimuli, and if we processed everything, we'd go bloody insane. So we have this reticular activating system which basically helps us filter out what we focus on. Now, if you believe that nobody wants to talk to you, that you're a loser, that nobody's ever going to be attracted to you and you're not very attractive, then chances are what you're going to see are signals that confirm that. Or you're going to misread signals, or maybe see a little bit of anxiety because someone's a bit nervous about approaching you, and rather than seeing that as the fact that they're scared, and they're actually scared because they want to connect with you, you might misread that as disinterest. So rather than seeing it for what it really is, the fact that yes, they might be sending out some negative signals because they're actually really excited but anxious about chatting and connecting with you because they like you, we might see it as disinterest rather than what it really is. The second reason why body language signals and non-verbal communication is often misread is because we actually send out mixed signals, particularly when we're really nervous. So imagine that you see somebody over there that you really like and you think, oh my God, they're gorgeous. So part of you really, really wants to reach out and talk to them and flirt with them. But at the very same time, there's a part of you that's trying to keep you safe, that's actually really anxious and scared about approaching them. It's what we call motivational conflict. It means that internally, you're doing a little tug-of-war with yourself, right? You're basically saying, oh, go. There's a part of you saying, go talk to him, go talk to him. And the other part's going, no, I don't want to because I'm scared. So this motivational conflict comes out in our body language. It means that maybe we're sending out a little bit of positive messages, but at the same time, we're sending out negative messages. Now, this is really interesting because our face can actually send out negative and positive signals at the same time. And we often mask negative signals with a smile, like the fact that we don't really want to do something or don't really want to talk to somebody. But when we're on the other side of that, when we're trying to decipher through a filter of being really, really nervous and perhaps thinking that we're really not that worthy, it can be really hard to read what's actually going on. The next reason why it can be hard to accurately read body language and nonverbals is because we tend to look for the negative. In fact, our brains are pre-wired to look for the negative. I was actually having this conversation today. There was a young man and he was saying, we were talking about putting your shoulders back. And he said, oh, I think that, when people put their shoulders back, that they're actually full of themselves and they're looking down on people. And this is part of this bias that we have. We look for the negative in a situation. And this is part of being human, right? It's part of what we do. It's actually what kept us safe. It doesn't really help us very much in modern day life. But if you think about it, what we do is we're looking for the danger in every situation. We're looking for what doesn't feel right about this. But when it comes to connecting with people and dating, this actually works against us because we automatically and subconsciously make assumptions about people based on the negative, based upon looking for what might be wrong with the situation. And often it reconfirms our beliefs about ourselves. So if you feel as though you're not worthy and everyone's looking down on you or you're not attractive enough, then what you're going to see, you're going to see every single negative signal that they send out, which we do, we send out positive and negative, and take it on board personally. Here's another big one. Often what we do is we analyze one gesture at a time and we think that that means something rather than looking for a cluster of signals. When it comes to nonverbal communication, body language, facial expressions and paralanguage, we need to look at a cluster cues. So a cluster of at least 3 to 5 signals, or the more the merrier, that happen simultaneously and sort of interact with each other and reinforce each other, that tell us and confirm how somebody actually feels. One signal on its own doesn't mean anything. For example, you could be sitting down and you could be hunched over. And a lot of us, this is a comforting gesture. So sometimes we actually sit like this when we're comfortable as well as when we're not not comfortable, when we feel intimidated or when we feel anxious. The thing to remember about closed arms is because we look for the negative, people will automatically assume that it's a negative gesture and feel as though you're not open to them, even if you just feel comfy. But if you're sitting, for example, at a bus stop and you're hunched over, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're feeling insecure, that that you're anxious, that you're closed off. It could mean a variety of things. It could just mean that you're damn cold because it's freezing out there. So we always need to look for a cluster of 3 to 5 signals that tell us a story and reconfirm what's going on. And that brings me to the last one, that we often don't consider the context. So the context is the temperature, the location, the situation, the relationships. You might see a guy, for example, and he might seem like he's in a furious mood. He might seem angry. He might, be stomping his foot and really, have a jaw jutted out and, furrowed brow and the tense mouth, and you think, oh my God, this guy's a really angry bastard. What's wrong with him? I don't want to date him ever, right? But it could just be that something terrible has happened, or that he was just mugged or robbed. You actually don't know. So we always need to consider the context before we jump to conclusions about somebody. So when it comes to accurately reading rather than misreading body language, we always want to look for a cluster of 3 to 5 signals simultaneously. We always want to consider the context or the situation. We always want to think about the character or the personality of the person. Maybe they're always like that. So if you've known them for a while, consider what their baseline is or what they're like most of the time. And we always want to think about the timing. So imagine this scenario. Perhaps you're going on a date and everything's going really well. You're open, you're connected, you're chatting, you're communicating. The conversation is flowing. Everything seems to be fine. Then all of a sudden you ask them a question, perhaps their ex comes up. Maybe you don't go there, but just say the conversation comes up. And all of a sudden there's a dramatic shift in their body language and their nonverbal communication as soon as you ask them a question or as soon as that topic comes up. Perhaps they avoid eye contact, their body language starts to close down, they become very tense. Perhaps you get a look of anger across their face or even contempt, the sneer. This is going to reveal something about how they feel about their ex. So this is where timing comes in. It's about when something happens, when you notice changes in body language. That's what you need to look out for.